Hello, everyone. Mike here. I want to pause for a moment to talk about how you can help the English sessions to continue. If you'd like to support the English sessions, then please go to anchor.fm/the English sessions. There, you can click on the support button and make a monthly contribution to the English sessions to keep this podcast going. You can support the English sessions for less than $1. Every bit helps. Also, remember, go to www.englishsessionswithmike.com if you are interested in private lessons with me, Mike. Thank you all for supporting this podcast. This is Mike Butler. You're listening to Bisbee Live. I'm going to make this short today. I woke up to a scorpion sting. It doesn't hurt that bad, but I think I'm not really concentrating too well. I just spent 15 minutes wondering why the audio of my intro that I'm re-recording right now sounded so terrible, because it wasn't coming through this microphone. It was coming through my computer mic. Anyway, this was a fun interview with Kifer, the blues wizard, Bisbee's own blues wizard. He has a shop off of Subway Street here in Old Bisbee, and so I sat down with him in his shop. Here is my interview with Keith Kifer, the blues wizard, on Bisbee Live. I am Mike Butler. This is Bisbee Live, and I'm sitting down with Keith, the blues wizard, in his shop. Now, what road is this technically on? It's not Subway, right?
No, we are on Shearer.
Okay. This is my favorite little corner of Old Bisbee. It's so neat and old. And I wanted to talk to you about your history with the blues and just your influences in general. And you spent a lot of your life in the San Diego area. Is that right?
That's correct. I grew up in San Diego, graduated high school there. And but I've not only been a bluesman for about 26 years.
Okay. That's right. You got into it in the 90s. Growing up, was it a big influence on you? I mean, even if you weren't playing music?
I didn't think that I would ever be... I didn't think I'd be good enough to be able to play, so I just never tried. My first concert that was really quite influential to me was I saw Albert King. I didn't even know who he was at the time. Mm. I went to see an opening band. I think it was Sons of Chaplin. And when Albert King walked out on stage, my jaw just kind of hit the floor.
What year was that?
That would be probably 69 or 70.
Yeah. Was that in San Diego?
That was in San Diego at the Sports Arena. I was working for a concert promoter, and I got free tickets, really good free tickets to every show.
Mm. That's great.
Yeah.
And being that close to the border in San Diego, do you think part of that was why you were attracted to Bisbee all these years later? Another border town, or just coincidental?
Yeah, I don't think that has a whole lot to do with, I've been across the border here once. I have nothing against Mexico. I've lived there. But no, that's not the attraction to Bisbee at all. I have been for the past 20-some years a traveling musician most of the time, and I was playing in Santa Fe.
Okay.
And Seth Appel, the coffee guy here in Bisbee, he came up and tipped me a pound of coffee. He was on vacation. And
nice
we started talking a little bit, and he really talked Bisbee up, and it's like, well, I'm going to have to see Bisbee. I knew the name, but I had no idea what it was. Hmm. So I made a mental note that at some point I would come see Bisbee. And, it was 3.5 years ago. I was on my way back from the Kerrville Folk Festival down in Texas, headed to San Diego. And as I was coming through New Mexico, I remembered Bisbee. And I thought, I wonder where that is. So I punched it in my GPS, and the turnoff to go through Douglas was like 2 miles up the road. I thought, I think I better go check it out. Yeah. So I drove into town, and it was in June, so it was hot and miserable, but the town was really cool, and I started meeting people. I stayed here about a week and a half or so, and several of the musicians that I'd met had said that I should apply for Side Pony Express Music Festival.
Mm-hmm.
So I did, and they accepted me, and so then I came back that year and played.
Cool. How many spots did you play in?
I can't even remember. It was 2 or 3 a day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah.
And while I was here, a couple things happened. My first gig, Friday, I was playing over at the Copper Queen, and the local newspaper reporter came up and took my picture and did a little interview. And, you know, this festival has 100 bands.
Mm-hmm.
So when he took my picture, I figured, they'll have a montage page of all the bands. So, you know, I just forgot about that. And then Sunday morning, I was walking up the street to another show, and I happened to go by the newspaper office, and I looked at the newspaper, and there I was, front page.
Really? Just picture of you. No one else?
Yeah, I was the face of that festival that year.
That's great. What was in your hand? Were you playing a suitcase guitar?
Suitcase guitar, suitcase amplifier.
Yeah.
And then that very day also, I was talking to another musician, and I mentioned, this might be a good spot for me to have a shop, because I'd been trying to get a shop in San Diego for years unsuccessfully. And the lady I was talking to smiled and said, come here. And she walked me up to the window that I am now currently occupying. And I looked inside, my jaw just like hit the floor. I thought, man, that's a cool space.
It is a cool space.
And when I called the owner and asked him how much the rent was, I made a decision right then and there that I was going to go back to San Diego, put my affairs in order, and move to Bisbee. And here I am 2.5, almost 3 years later.
That's great. It's not too far from San Diego.
It's a 9-hour drive.
Yeah, it's manageable.
I can get there if I want to go for a long weekend, I can.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to ask you, I'm thinking of some of the younger guys, just in the past decade or two, getting into the blues. And there are so many resources now on the internet. You know, you can find those early field recordings, from the 20s and 30s, and really find the roots of the blues. Growing up for you, was it harder to find those roots? And so what kind of blues did you grow up with?
Well,
and what influenced you?
I would have to say that my major influences are Jimi Hendrix first. First time I heard him, I was 13, and he's more of a rock musician, but all his music is based in blues. So that blew me away. And then I got into Stevie Ray Vaughan. Mm-hmm. And then when I picked up guitar at 41, at the time I was listening to Clapton Unplugged.
Okay, yeah.
And I was trying to make some noises that fit with what I was hearing. Mm-hmm. And today I think I play 3 or 4 songs off of that album.
Yeah.
And I don't play like any of those guys. I play like me.
Yeah.
But those are definitely my influences. And then once I got there, this is a common thread you'll hear from anyone that comes to blues later, that once you've gone through Jimmy, Stevie, and Eric, then you go back.
Okay.
And you go back and find the roots.
Yeah.
And today I go all the way back because once a year I play in Clarksdale, Mississippi.
Cool.
That's where the crossroads are. And I go
the supposed
down.
Crossroads, right? Isn't there a couple places that claim?
No, what's supposed is where he's buried. There's three or four Robert Johnson graves. Highway 49 and 61 exist.
Okay.
And they are right there at Clarksdale.
Okay.
And I get treated very well in Clarksdale, Mississippi, which is surprising, bringing blues from the West Coast. My first time in Clarksdale, I was being interviewed by the local paper, and the guy was a bit antagonistic. He says, "So how is it you get to call yourself the Blues Wizard?" And I just looked at him. I says, well, you know, I don't claim to be the best blues guitarist in the world or the best blues singer. I don't claim any of that stuff. But it's my understanding that if a bandmate nicknames you, you get to own it. So I looked him in the eye and I said, so I am the blues wizard.
Yeah.
He put me in the paper.
Yeah, that's great. So that's a name that's been given to you that wasn't out of your head.
Keyboard player.
Yeah.
One of my original guitar teachers ended up playing keyboard in my band, John Marshall. And we were at a practice one day and we were in between songs and he looked at me and he says, you know, you're like a wizard of the blues. And then he smiled and said, you're the blues wizard.
And it stuck.
Bam. I immediately thought, well, you know, this is during the popularity era of wizards. I thought, great name. It's really catchy. People will remember it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've used it ever since.
So the first time you really kind of heard some acoustic blues was that Clapton album, would you say?
Yeah. And then,
when you really paid attention.
Fast forward a few years when I have actually started to get serious about playing, I was in a coffee house. This would be about, probably 95 or 96. Mm-hmm. I was sitting in a coffee house, and was a rather famous coffee house, Java Joe's in Ocean Beach out in San Diego. It's where Jewel got her start and several others. Well, anyways, he comes in all excited. Robin Hinkle's in the house. Robin Hinkle's in the house. And I didn't know who Robin Hinkle was. Mm. And he had just finished a gig at the bar next door, and he come in and he was almost dragging a dobro, barely off the ground. He's not a big man. And he went up on stage and he proceeded to assault us with a wall of sound, just himself playing on a dobro.
Yeah.
And I thought, God, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So, I inquired, and he didn't teach beginners. Uh-huh. So it took me 10 years of playing. I actually became a professional musician before I went and sought him out. I took a couple years lessons from Robin Hinkle. He's worth investigating. He's like Blues Yoda on the West Coast. He never got famous, and I think he didn't get famous because he is Blues Yoda. He's a teacher. Everyone in Southern California that plays blues has learned from Robin Hinkle.
Robin
Hinkle.
Okay, but people can find something about him online, I imagine.
Yeah.
Okay.
His music is all over YouTube.
Very cool. And when you first saw him with that dobro, did you also think, oh man, I want to build that too?
No,
Did that come
that
later?
hadn't even crossed my mind yet. But I did start playing with a vengeance because I knew it was what I wanted to do. But by the same token, I knew that I was probably not going to be able to make a living with the guitar. And I was thinking about what I could do, and along came Dave Millard. Someone introduced me to my lutherie teacher, the man that I apprenticed under. And I started hanging out in his shop, and he'd give me things to do and throw me a few bucks here and there. And I started to learn how to work on instruments. And that's when I started to experiment.
Yeah. Well, there's this amazing clip. Well, it's a whole documentary you're part of where this filmmaker did kind of like an episode of his show, I imagine, about luthieries and luthiers. Snapshot. And that was for KPBS? Yeah. Was that from San Diego?
Yeah, KPBS. It's actually on KPBS nationwide.
Okay.
And it can be found by going to kpbs.org and typing in Snapshot.
Yeah.
And there's like 7 or 8 episodes.
It was really well done. I mean, the cinematography is great.
The director-producer of that show worked for Star Wars and Disney.
Oh, really? Well,
yeah, she was amazing.
Yeah.
Still is.
Oh, okay. Still in the business, huh?
Yeah.
But in that, he goes to your shop. I'm assuming that was in San Diego at the time. And you showed him a dobro. I think you said it was the first instrument you ever made. And I don't know if you still have it here. I would love to see that.
I don't, but there's a picture of it on my DVD that I sell.
Okay, I want to get to that too, but you made it out of like pots and pans lids, or the body is an actual guitar, right?
What happened was, my shop was my living room or my dining table, and I was working on instruments, buying and selling, and street performing, and doing anything and everything that I could think of to make a living, as long as it was music. Mm-hmm. And this friend of mine had a 1929 Regal resonator guitar that he asked me to do some work on. Well, I fixed it, and I didn't call him because it was really fun to play. 2 weeks go by, and he calls me up and says, "Keith, is my guitar done?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And he says, "Well, can I have it back?"
That's funny. So
I gave it back, and at the time I was in no position to buy a resonator guitar, but I wanted one, and I had an old acoustic guitar that I had not been playing because I replaced it with a really nice vintage 47 Gibson, and it was I can't remember the name, but it was a fairly decent acoustic guitar, but I just had lost interest in playing it. And I looked at that and I thought, I wonder if I could make my own. So I went to the swap meet and I started shopping for parts, and I found a pan lid and a vegetable steamer rack, and I adapted them into the top of that guitar, and it sounded freaking pretty good.
Yeah, I think you played it in documentary. It sounded good.
I did play it.
Yeah. And so when you built that, I mean, is this just how your mind works? You knew exactly what it was going to take to build a resonator, or did you watch some videos or read a book or something?
I just built it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I knew what I was doing, because I never know what I'm doing. I just trust the universe to guide me. I'm not a real spiritual guy, but I have some certain likes. I don't like the word beliefs, but I have likes, and I like the idea that this universe that I live in is interactive, and if you put things in motion, things happen, and I like to be an observer and a participant in those happenings. Yeah. And so when I see something that catches my eye, I go ahead and work on it and see what happens, and I have a pretty good success rate.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably 98%.
Are you talking about building?
Building instruments that actually work when they're done, as I had hoped.
Considering some of the things that you build your instruments out of, that's pretty impressive. I don't think we've mentioned that. Mainly what you build are out of things that found items, right?
Found items, hubcaps and gourds and suitcases and briefcases and cake pans and vegetable steamers and cardboard tubes and skateboards.
Skateboard guitar. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, that's great. Well, that's kind of inspiring to think, at that age, you're just like, oh, I'll just start a completely different life path. Well,
I made a lot of changes that I'm not going to go into, but okay. I basically was on a very self-destructive path, and I changed directions completely.
Drugs and stuff?
Yeah. And so I started a brand new path where everything was constructive, and started living a more healthy lifestyle, and I was in a position where I had no responsibilities other than to myself, so I remade my whole life.
Yeah. That's great. And now you play in groups. You've been on America's Got Talent
and American Idol.
And American Idol. So you've made a lot of progress, since the 90s with music.
Oh, yeah. Well, I consider myself a professional musician. I by no means the best or should even be in the top 100 or any of that stuff. But, I play with feeling, which is what I look for in other guitar players, rather than so much precision or speed or any of that stuff. I'm a guy. I want to hear feeling when I hear the blues.
Even though Stevie Ray Vaughan was one of your first influences, I mean, talk about intricate, fast, and.
But yeah, very intricate, very fast. But the man played with more feeling than 6 other guitar players.
So it set him apart, huh?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, he was one of the most soulful rock blues players to come along.
Yeah, definitely. I think you told me about the story of American Idol. You were never on the stage, but they were filming you because you were out playing your suitcase guitar in line. Is that right?
American Idol, how that happened was I had a young girl singer in my band that wanted to try out and she was afraid. She was timid. So, and this particular person was really at ease with me on stage because we would laugh and joke. We had a little shtick going in between songs, and even during songs we would joke. And I said, well, how about if I come along with you and you'll be more at ease? And she, oh, would you please? So we go to the baseball stadium, 4:30 in the morning in the dark, and there's 10,000 people in the parking lot waiting to go in. And we're put in these little cattle pens, to separate the groups by arrival time. And so we're all sitting on the ground in the parking lot, and as the sun comes up, I'm playing my suitcase guitar, and she's singing, and while we're doing a song, a film crew from American Idol comes up and sets up and starts filming us. Mm-hmm. And I didn't pay any attention to it because, again, I wasn't there to be on the show. I was there as a support. And as they walked away, they handed us these little buttons. They said, put these on your shirt. And I said, what's this for? And they said, well, every time a camera sees you, they're supposed to turn their camera on you.
Oh, that's great.
So, and I still didn't cross my mind. But anyways, so, and then just before we went inside, this guy just comes up and starts talking to me. And he didn't have an American Idol shirt on or anything. He was just wearing street clothes. And he asked me a bunch of questions about the guitar and my life and blah, blah, blah. And I'm kind of used to that. So I didn't think anything of it. So we go inside, and the first thing I'm noticing as we're walking inside, the cameras are all on us. There's 10,000 people around us, and the freaking cameras are focused on us. And I'm thinking, what the hell's going on? So we get up to the sign-in table, and my friend Rose is signing in, and this guy that I had talked to steps right up to me and says, you need to sign up. And I said, well, I'm too old for the show. And he says, yeah, I know, but sign up anyways. It'll be fun. I said, okay, I'll sign up. So I did. And then we were all sitting around waiting, and they had, down on the infield of the baseball stadium, they had tents set up with minor producers, like 3 minor producer panels in each tent. And they would take 6 people up at a time and grind us through. And each they'd say, you sing, you sing, you sing, you sing, one at a time. And after I sang, they were conferring and talking amongst each other, and they pointed to me and one other girl, not the girl I was with. Okay, you guys go down into the dugout. You're to the next level. I went, what? I was like, what? So, and then the next level was you got to audition for the show's producers, the bigwigs. There was like 6 of them. I mean, that show probably has 40 producers.
Okay, so you sit down with them.
Different levels.
First, okay.
And so I got a golden ticket, which means I was going to go and be on the show. So then I was assigned one of the little producers that had saw me first, and he and his film crew followed me everywhere I went. And everybody was connected by earpieces, and they were constantly talking back. The show's producers would sit they'd sit in some control room somewhere, and they would direct the frickin' whole show that's going on all around them. So, I got on the show, but they didn't actually use my footage with the celebrity panel.
Okay.
The only time I was seen on the show was in the opening credits. Okay. They showed a flash of me playing my suitcase guitar.
So you did sit in front of who was the lineup then? Simon and
no. This is American Idol. And it was Randy Jackson, Jennifer Lopez, and Steven Tyler.
Okay. Well, I remember I only watched the first season. Whatever happened to that mean British judge?
That was America's Got Talent.
Was it really? Okay. I guess I'm all mixed up on that.
That's all right. So Randy Jackson, he said he was going to buy a couple guitars from me, and he never followed up. J-Lo was dancing to my music, and Steven Tyler, he said, "Wow, really cool guitar, dude."
Cool.
This was in 2012 when they shot on the aircraft carrier in San Diego.
Oh, okay. And what were you playing?
A suitcase guitar.
What is it? Can you describe it?
This particular one, it was a tan Samsonite. I actually had a amplifier built inside of it with a speaker.
Okay, I think I've seen you play.
Yeah,
it.
you've seen it. If you've been seen it in my videos,
Mm-hmm.
That guitar was kind of with me for quite a while before it sold, because it was kind of like my main stage guitar for some time. Now, America's Got Talent, I did make the show, and they kind of shamed me.
Did they really?
Yeah, they did.
Well, that's part of the entertainment. Like, you got to be brutal to some people.
I loved it. I loved the whole experience, except for that 5 minutes.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
And that wasn't so bad, because I've got brass balls. So,
yeah.
Were
they just commenting on your age or what? I mean, like,
no,
get off the stage.
They just. I don't know. The only sound quality I had was what I had on stage. I don't know what went out there. I don't, because those speakers are on the other side. So, Howie Mandel said, "Oh, suitcases shouldn't be guitars." And
what does Howie know?
What's his name? Howard Stern.
Well, he's an asshole to everybody.
He was being real mean. This is kind of funny. See, I took an all-girl band. That girl singer was with me on stage. And at some point, Stern was being mean to me, and Rose said, "You're mean." They cut that out.
Really?
For the rest of the interview, Howard Stern was like a kitty cat.
Really?
Yeah. She just shamed him bad.
Good.
He shut up, man. He was really nice after that. But again, they edited. There were a lot of good parts to my audition, mm-hmm. and they edited them all out. Like the studio audience was with us, but you will not hear the cheering. Mm-hmm. And you can't even see it anymore. They really protect their footage.
Okay, you can't YouTube it.
You can't YouTube it. It was on YouTube for a while, and they searched it down and took it off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fun. Who else was on the panel? Howie Mandel and Stern
and Sharon Osbourne.
Sharon Osbourne.
Yeah.
Okay.
She said my guitar sounded too bassy, and she was wrong. It was too trebly. She didn't even know.
It wasn't too pitchy?
No, it was.
Who would say that?
It was
Randy
Jackson?
Jackson?
No, she said it was bassy.
Bassy.
And it wasn't. It was very trebly.
Is she a musician?
No, she's just.
So silly.
Ozzy's wife.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about The Legend of the Blues Wizard, which you can find online, I think, at just The Legend of the Blues Wizard as well. And you have copies I see right here.
Yeah, I sell copies of that DVD. I have a music producer in San Diego that got interested in documentary making. Mm-hmm. And he approached me with the idea of making a documentary about my life. And sure, it sounds like fun. So he put together a little film crew and started following me around. 2.5 years later, we had a movie.
That's great. So years of footage. You literally followed you around.
And for his first movie, I thought he did one hell of a job. It's seamless. The storyline just flows.
Yeah.
When we made that movie, we sat in the studio for the vocals, and he would ask me a question, and I would talk a little bit, and then he'd say, "Can you rephrase that?" And you don't hear him talking. It's just me talking, and it just he edited it so it all flows.
That's good.
It just all makes sense. I thought he did one hell of a job.
And when was that released? What year?
Oh, God. I don't even know. See, we're in 18, probably, 2012?
Okay.
13? Yeah, no, 13. Yeah, because 12 was Idol, and they wouldn't let him on the set.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about your influences, and I saw somewhere online that you were playing a show, and on the bill it said Delta blues style, guitar, which is a compliment. Someone coming from the West Coast, who is being described as Delta blues. I was curious, when was the first time that you heard, let's say, like those early Robert Johnson recordings?
Well, I met a guy early in my playing. Now, he was a homeless Indian from Amarillo, Texas. You're thinking, what's this got to do with the blues? Well, his mama, when he was raised, played all the old greats. And he was not the healthiest guy. He was a tweaker, and he spent all his time in the park mastering blues licks. And he was my first blues teacher. God rest his soul. He was, oh man, could that guy play. But the joke is, I don't know if you saw the San Diego River Delta Blues video.
I think so.
Yeah, well, that started off as that song was meant to be a joke, a kind of a stab at the fact that I'm a white boy living in San Diego playing Delta Blues. Well, there's a place in San Diego called Dog Beach. Now, Dog Beach is where the San Diego River flows into the ocean.
Okay.
Now, it's mostly just a kind of a contaminated trickle. But there is basically a delta there. It's beach, but there's a delta there. So, I wrote this song, San Diego River Delta Blues, and the joke is I play blues from the deep south of California, the San Diego River Delta Blues.
Yeah.
There's people running around in bikinis and dogs chasing balls, and it's as far from the blues scene as you can possibly
Not
get.
Exactly the same as those original bluesmen in the
Yeah, well,
turn of the century
the
in
Mississippi
but
and the cotton picking and all that. It's just so I can't explain it. I just started. I picked up slide guitar. And, I took lessons and all, and I started to play. And my first time in Clarksdale, Mississippi, I was really quite intimidated because here I was, playing San Diego River Delta Blues. And what I discovered and what I found out was my music is pretty authentic.
That's great.
I'm very well accepted in Clarksdale, Mississippi, basically the home of Delta Blues.
Mm-hmm. I remember there was from the 90s, a movie about a white boy playing the blues, and he meets this old black bluesman in a retirement home. Remember what that was called? It was
Crossroads.
Crossroads, that's right.
The movie was Crossroads. Scott Bijou.
It kind of reminds me of that a little bit. What was the end of that story? Like, he goes on such an adventure that he earns the ability to play blues.
Yeah, the end of it was they finally get to the crossroads, and the devil shows up, and old Mr. Brown there wants to get his soul back, and the devil says, "You don't have anything to bargain with," and Scott's character steps up and says, well, what about me? So they go to head cutting in some hell roadhouse, and the Devil's guitar player, Steve Vai.
Oh, that's right.
And actually, Steve Vai played both parts.
Okay.
You know, it was Scott that looked like he was playing, but it was actually Steve Vai playing both parts.
Really?
And Scott beat the devil, so the old man got his soul back.
That's right. It's been years since I've seen that.
Yeah.
That's funny. But you were born on the East Coast, right? Right along the
Pennsylvania.
Allegheny River, right?
Allegheny River. My hospital was inside of the Allegheny River.
That's great. Did you spend much time there, or did you move to the West Coast pretty early on?
We moved. My dad was an unrequited cowboy back in the 50s and 60s, and he kept moving west.
Oh, okay.
And we ended up in San Diego.
Well, damn, I wanted to talk to you about that area because I grew up in Western New York, so not too far from, I would go down there.
Jamestown?
Jamestown, sure.
I lived in Jamestown
when
I was a kid, yeah.
Well, I didn't. For me, I was in Rochester, so that's farther north, but yeah, definitely spent some time over there.
Yeah, we moved. Our first move was to Jamestown.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, I know the area a little bit. We vacationed at Niagara Falls and vacationed at North Pole, New York, and went and saw all the different forts on the Canadian border. So, I know the area a little.
Yeah, it's gorgeous up there.
Allegheny National Forest is beautiful. God, it's just beautiful.
Yeah. The border of that is right at the Allegheny River, right? The northern border, and then it's all that land south of that.
Where I lived, Warren, Pennsylvania, the river actually flowed right through the middle of town.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I was there before Kenzu Dam was built.
Okay, that's right in Warren?
It's outside of Warren. It's on the Allegheny River. They actually destroyed some Native American villages to fill up that canyon.
Fantastic.
It's a huge, fantastic. It's a huge reservoir now.
I'm sure they're very proud of it.
Yeah. I actually, my dad took us out up on a mountain above, and we looked down at this town, and he said, in a couple of years that town's going to be gone. It's underwater.
Yeah.
It was a Native American town.
I've heard of, entire villages, in this country being underwater, and that still exists that way underwater. Do you know if it's like that there?
I would imagine so,
First?
I would imagine. They didn't tear anything down.
That's fascinating.
They just let the water flood it out.
Man. Is today your birthday?
It is.
Okay. Happy birthday. I saw that on Facebook. I have it in my notes.
66 today.
Okay. Congratulations for another year completed.
I'm always shocked and astonished that I'm still on this planet. I didn't think I was going to make it, but here I am.
Well, you have a great shop here, and I mean, Bisbee kind of has like a slower pace of life. I don't know much in my life so far yet, but I mean, that spells out longevity to me. Is a place like this, getting to do what you love and just like kind of have a slow pace of life, kind of avoid the rat race.
Well, I really wasn't in the rat race when I was in San Diego.
This is my interview with Keith Kifer, the blues wizard, here in Bisbee. He has a shop here in Bisbee on Subway Street, off of Subway Street, and we paused here. Somebody walked into the shop, and we'll get back into it. First with my reading of a poem that I read on a wall opposite his building, part of a mural here in Bisbee. I will include a link to his shop here on BisbeeLive.com. Sueña con los angelitos de un país sin fronteras, los jóvenes, ancianos, enfermos y sanos, bajo un cielo sin luna oscura, con la brillante luz de la amanecer, donde agua se convierte a sangre y lágrimas. Agua, el viento se viene, el viento se va, en la frontera para llevar sus cargas sobre las alas de Los Ángeles. Okay, the Car Parts Orchestra. When I read that, and I mean, I've seen you play with some people, some footage, and I just thought of, what was it, Fat Albert, when he's in the junkyard with all the people playing with found objects. Is that a local Bisbee project, or was that in San Diego?
That was, did you see the video?
I've seen you play it like with that young woman. I've seen that, but I don't know if I've seen the Car Parts Orchestra.
Oh, yeah, there's a nine-piece hubcap orchestra, and it was filmed in right here in Bisbee.
Okay, no, I did not see that.
Most of the musicians were local. There was a couple of people that came down from Phoenix. We actually filmed in what used to be the Breakfast Club Diner down at Shady Dell. Mm-hmm. We started there, and then we moved over to Lowell to finish.
Oh, the little Dots Diner there at the Shady Dell?
Yeah. So you need to look that video up.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's where Puspa filmed some of her film.
Yeah. That was exactly. Yeah, that's a great little. I mean, it looks like a '50s diner.
Yeah.
It is a '50s diner, for that matter. But we filmed that all here. My DVD filmmaker actually came over to film that, and my music producer from Texas flew in to record it.
Yeah.
So I pulled out all the stops to have that video done right. I expected it to go viral. It hasn't yet.
It hasn't yet.
It has all the makings of a viral video. I've been told that it's too long to go viral, but it's pretty freaking cool. All the crazy instruments are making the sound that you hear.
I'll post a link to it at bisbeelive.com.
Cool.
You said you can find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Very cool. Car Parts Orchestra. 9 different guys, you said.
9 people,
so
female and male, yeah.
Describe some of the instruments, if you can, for me.
Rich Creek played a gas tank upright bass. I played I think it was a Dodge hubcap guitar, resonator guitar. There were a couple of hubcap ukuleles, hubcap stand-up bass, resonator, a hubcap drum set, actually, and another hubcap guitar, and a hubcap tambourine. That's probably about 9 right there. Oh, the hubcap cello, 64 and a half
cello.
Mustang hubcap cello.
That's awesome. You mentioned Jimi Hendrix as an influence, and obviously you're a master of modifying instruments and making instruments. And you yourself are left-handed. Did you find that interesting when you were learning about Jimmy and how he had to modify his guitar himself? Did that kind of stick with you, from those early days?
I in the early days, I thought that Jimmy played a right-handed guitar upside down when actually he took a right-handed body and strung it left-handed.
That's what it is?
And but I thought that he played upside down like Albert King and Elizabeth Cotten. And,
I know what you're saying.
But what happened early on with me, I was starting to learn how to play left-handed, and that Indian from Amarillo came over to my house. He needed a shower and a meal. He was like I said, he was a homeless guy.
Yeah.
And he picked up my guitar and saw that it was strung left-handed, and he just set it down. He wasn't going to play, and I thought, oh no! So right there, I strung it back right-handed so he would play. So I wanted to hear him play because he's the best bluesman I've ever been in the presence of. And
is he still with us?
No.
No.
Like I said, he didn't have a real healthy lifestyle. So anyways, and I got real tired of changing the strings back and forth over the next year.
Yeah.
So I just started playing the damn thing upside down because right-handed just didn't make sense to me. And for some reason, when I inverted the strings and started to take a right-handed guitar and playing it upside down, things started to make sense. And my guitar playing took off.
And that's how you play. You play upside down.
upside down.
To all the listeners, I just want to explain that. You have on a normal guitar, you will have the highest string, let's say, closest to the ground.
Right.
That's, I guess, the easiest way to describe it.
Yeah.
The highest pitch, highest string.
Yeah.
And so you just flip that around so the lowest string is closest to the ground.
Yeah.
You don't change the strings to play.
Exactly.
I've seen that done. I can't
It's
imagine
done.
how you can do it.
Dick
But
Dale is probably the virtuoso of the day that plays that way.
he played that way.
He plays that way.
Oh, he still
Dick
plays.
Dale is a
Yes, he must be
monster
ancient.
guitar player.
He still plays,
He
huh?
still plays. He's still touring.
Wow.
And Albert King played that way. And Elizabeth Cotton, if you don't know who Elizabeth Cotton is, you should look her up because her style was the original cotton picking, which is what all us left-handers that play right-handed guitars do. We cotton pick. Because she was the first one on record to do that.
Freight Train Blues, was that her?
Freight Train is their most famous song.
Yeah.
So there are advantages and disadvantages. And if you'll listen to Albert King's music, you will notice long, drawn-out, really bent notes. See, normally with guitar players, they when they bend a note, they push the string. Okay?
Yeah.
So since I'm playing upside down, my push is actually a pull.
Okay.
So I can yank on a string with 3 fingers. I can really make a bent note when I'm playing with my fingers.
Yeah.
And that is one of the benefits of playing upside down is you get to pull your bends.
That was very interesting. Yeah, I can only imagine you'd have to modify. I play. It'd have to be a very unique sound.
Well, the other thing that Doyle Bramhall Jr., he plays with Eric Clapton, plays upside down. And first time I saw him play, I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I'm watching him, and finally it dawns on me that's how I play. When the downstroke is an upward yank.
Yeah, you're right. That would have to be that too. Everything modified.
Upside down guitar players they'll accentuate pulling up on the strings. So, yeah, it's kind of a sight to watch. It bothers some guitar players, and other guitar players don't care because they really know the neck very well.
Yeah.
And they can pick my chords. But if you don't know the neck, you're not picking my chords.
No. Yeah. So you play, well, I imagine you play in open tuning, right? You probably don't play in standard too often.
When I play slide, I mostly play in open tuning. I am very capable of playing in standard tuning also.
Yeah.
And I use several alternate tunings. I do a D minor, a D major, a D7, and just depends on what it is I'm playing. I can do my entire show with a guitar tuned in D minor. And I can either play it with my fingers or I can play slide, or I can do both. That's probably my favorite tuning right now. I've been experimenting with D7 tuning, which is kind of fun.
D7 open tuning.
Yeah. I've never heard anybody doing it, but I've started doing it, and it's really cool.
Cool.
Because I have some songs that are almost entirely seventh chords, and I've learned how to make that chord into a major chord with fingering.
Yeah.
So once again, then all right, now I can play songs that have a mixture of minor, major, and sevenths.
Yeah.
Which is, I have been in just the last few months. I've been on a monster learning explosion with the way I play guitar. I keep my 47 Gibson at home, and when I sit down, I pick it up, and I tell my girlfriend, Nadine's the name of my guitar. Nadine just taught me a new chord.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the many hats that you wear, that you mention, because people can find you in a few places online. lunaticfringeluthieri.com, right, is for the shop mainly.
That's my website.
And some of the hats so you're into motocross, which is interesting.
I'm a little old for that now. There's a clip of me from 1976 racing in the DVD that I sell. I raced motocross for 10 years in my younger days.
Oh.
Yeah, I was in the hotbed of motocross in Southern California. My home track was Carlsbad, which was the hub of the United States motocross. And it was, it's a rather crazy sport, and I was definitely hooked on adrenaline at the time.
Yeah,
I loved speed and danger.
Yeah, well, I've been thinking about getting just a dirt bike for myself because I live over 4 miles down dirt roads now. I just thought I might as well not beat the crap out of my Jeep all the time if I don't need to. It must be so fun to get on those two wheels and that element of danger.
I stay away from them. I have a converted bike there that has about 3 horsepower. You know, that you can almost pedal it faster than it goes with the motor. But I have a tendency to get a little crazy when I'm on a motorcycle, so I stay away from them because I play music now.
Yeah. Are you saying like when you get on those two wheels, you kind of forget your age, kind of? And
if I were to get on a motorcycle, I would immediately want to do power slides and jumps. What's the point? You know, if you're not going fast, what's the point of being? You know, Harley Davidson. I don't get it. I don't get why they're so popular. I don't get it. They're a low performance machine.
Yeah.
You can't go around corners fast. You can't do wheelies. You can't slide them.
That's the culture, right? I mean, that can surround it.
It's a big and bad thing, but I like a motorcycle that you can handle and you can throw around and have fun on.
Tricks with. But you're also a UFO crash site investigator. Please explain to me. I'm very intrigued.
Yeah, well, that started as a joke. My filmmaker, before he decided to make any real films, he bought a video camera. Mm-hmm. And I think the thing even had tape in it, you know. That's how long ago this was. We were out hiking, and he had this camera with him, and he was just filming every once in a while. And we came to this clearing, and he put the camera right in my face, and he said, "So, Dr. Kifer, tell me about this UFO crash site." So I just, I'm a stage animal. I launched into an ad lib and introduced myself as Dr. Kifer. My doctorate was in alien horticulture.
Alien horticulture.
I don't know what that is, but it just sounded good at the time. And I got down on my knees and I said, I was pointing at this granite rock. I said, you can clearly see blast marks here from a firefight between the Forest Service and the aliens that had crashed here. You can, on close up, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
The whole, he put a YouTube video up, and it's still on Bleed Street YouTube channel.
Okay. Bleed Street.
Yeah, Bleed Street.
Is that one word?
Bleed Street. Yeah, he's the filmmaker. And the footage was grainy, it was shaky, it was bad. There were new UFOs, there was nothing. It was a complete spoof. And he put it up on YouTube, in YouTube early days, and the song went viral. And I was getting comments and questions for Dr. Kifer. He's not really a doctor, and people were taking the video serious. And it was never meant to be serious. It was a joke. And, I get questions. I have physics questions for that man and things like that.
That is so funny.
Yeah, it was just fun. It was just a couple guys out hiking and just laughing.
Yeah, just part of the lore of the wizard.
Yeah.
And that kind of reminds me when I sat down with Dan Simonis and he was talking about his project, the West Texas Millionaires. There was a lot of lore and tall tales that influenced him from Texas that became part of the project. And then eventually, reality became fiction, fiction became reality kind of thing. And he started this blog where people thought he was serious, all these tall tales. And so really, people really believed it. And it was just a total spoof, total joke.
And, and I've perpetuated it down through the years. A couple of years ago, I was hiking near Phoenix, and I came across one of those hot air balloons that people make out of sticks in a garbage bag, in a candle. Makes a nice little hot air balloon, and I picked it up, and I had a friend of mine take a picture of it, and I put it on Facebook. Another UFO crash site debunked.
Yeah, that's funny.
So, yeah, we've kind of kept that going. We've talked a little bit about maybe doing a full-on spoof documentary about that because it was just fun.
Let me know. I want to be part of it if you do.
Okay.
I grew up with a believer family, if you know what I mean. Like my dad, we've gone and seen, I forget his name. I want to say it's Stephen Greer, who started the Disclosure Project that has over 300 military officials coming clean about what they've seen. You never hear about that on the news.
I've seen two.
You have?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're a believer.
Well, I don't like that word.
Okay. That's right. You said that earlier.
Yeah.
With anything.
The reason I don't like that word is, we have a habit of thinking that our senses, our observation, our take on this whole thing is some sort of reality. And I have been wrong. So therefore, I could be wrong all the time.
That's true.
So, I definitely have very strong memories of seeing no doubter UFOs, a couple of them, a couple of different times. And in my mind, they weren't a dream, they weren't a trash can lid, it wasn't a hot air balloon, wasn't any of that stuff. The first one I saw, I was 14 years old, and my friend and I were clearing a field with a pickup truck.
Is this in San Diego area?
El Centro, out in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
And we were using a chain to pull monster weeds out of this field.
Okay.
And, we were having fun peeling out with a pickup truck. We're 14 years old.
Yeah.
We didn't even have driver's license, but we had this truck. So we jumped in the cab to jerk this weed out of the ground, and my friend stopped. He didn't start the truck, and he just went. His jaw kind of got slack, and he says, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing?" And I looked at him, and I looked out, and half a mile away, 500 feet in the air, was a UFO going across our field of vision the size of a football field, moving really slow. There was no doubt what it was. It looked just like the mothership from 4th of July, only it was smaller. It was only the size of a football field.
Oh, the movie Independence Day?
Yeah, Independence Day, yeah. It looked just like that.
AKA 4th of July.
It looked just like that. They could have used that in the movie, and it was real, and we saw it, and, so, yeah.
So that was the first time.
Yeah, it was the first
I hope we don't
time.
lose listeners.
I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, because some people are really strong. I don't they just think it's the most ridiculous thing in the world and might turn off a radio show. But like you said, what do we know? Does anybody really know exactly what's going on?
I'm a follower of quantum physics, and anyone that's a follower of quantum physics cannot possibly believe in this place because nothing's real. It's all an illusion. It's all a light show. So
when was the second time?
Oh, just a few years later with the same kid.
Really?
We were camped out. And
he was an alien. They were calling him back or something to the mothership.
No, he was my best friend. And his dad was my dad's best friend. And we were out fishing. We were camped out, and it was 10 o'clock at night. We were about ready to go to sleep. We had sleeping bags on the ground. And
California again?
Yeah, and we looked down to the horizon both at the same time, and a light in outer space crossed our field of vision in 2 seconds. And what was that? That's not possible. It's not possible. Physically, what we know of science today, nothing we have can go that fast. Even a jet going Mach 3 on the deck wouldn't go by us that fast.
Yeah.
And wow, so then we went to sleep, and we got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go fishing, and we saw it go by again.
Really?
Yeah. So, in my mind, it was a no-doubter. I don't know what it was. UFO means unidentified flying object.
Right.
I don't know
that could
what
be
it
anything.
was.
You don't know. If you don't know, it's
But,
unidentified.
the best science of today can't explain what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
And was it an illusion? All is illusion, so I don't know.
Well, we've been talking for over an hour, which is great. It means I'll have to cut it down a little bit for the KBRP broadcast.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave in the UFO stuff.
Okay.
But,
you leave or put whatever you want to do is all right with me.
This weekend, I won't be able to get it on KBRP, but for my podcast listeners, there's a meteor shower. I think it's the Delta Aquarid ones this weekend. So everybody go look to the skies this weekend, too.
Wow.
So is there anything that you want to promote that you have coming up, or just promote the business? I think I already gave the website, lunaticfringeluthieri.com. If you don't know how to spell it, just Google it. It'll fix the spelling for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, and the thing about that website is everything that we've talked about, except for the UFO stuff, all the music stuff, is clickable from that website. Mm-hmm. There are, after every picture is a banner that you can click on, and you can see a video that will basically show whatever it is the website shows. Mm-hmm. The Lutherie, the snapshot video, there's a tag there. You can go from there to see it. You can go to a trailer for the movie. You can see the breadbox guitar that I built for David Accord of Skywalker Sound, the sound engineer for Star Wars. So it's all there, if you just study it and see there's little buttons that you have to push to go to the different
And you're
tubes.
On Facebook, too.
I'm on
right?
Facebook
Yep.
under Keith Edward.
Mm.
Keith Edward is my Facebook name. And I also have a Lunatic Fringe Lutherie page and a Blues Wizard page, which I don't use a lot because in order for them to be seen, I have to pay Facebook.
Gotcha. Yep. I know what you're saying. Before the interview, we kind of talked a little bit about the Blues Fest here in Bisbee. It doesn't look like it's happening this year. Hopefully the Blues Fest isn't dead entirely in Bisbee, because that's a great thing to have here. But are there any gigs that you have coming up that you could promote for their local listeners?
I'm on the books in September and November. I don't have the specific dates with me. I'm actually talking to the stock exchange right now about August. Just put your ear to the ground, and the stock exchange, they list who's going to play when. Promoting little bar shows is I don't do much of it.
Yeah. Because people show up. I mean, just the ones drinking.
People show up.
Yeah.
We played the stock a couple weeks ago, and we packed the place with friends and family, and the place was full.
Yep. Cool.
So, and sometimes we play to an empty house, but
I've seen some great musicians here, and it was completely dead. And I think that's just such a small town. If it was like, if you play on a weekday, there's a good chance not a lot of people are going to show up. It's that kind of place,
Yeah,
almost...
the caliber of music in Bisbee is very high.
Yeah.
There, any given night you can go into any given bar, and the quality of the music is going to be high, and it'll be eclectic also.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And so you can walk in, you're like, wow, this band's great, but nobody's here watching them. It's like a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And so it's like they're playing just for you. And I've experienced that a few times here in Bisbee, and it's kind of a magical experience.
Yeah, if I had to depend on the pay that I get in playing in the bars around here, I'd starve.
Yeah. So many great musicians coming down from Tucson, and they do it just to have the experience of playing in Bisbee. Yeah, they're not
That's
making a fortune.
Pony Express, man. They get
what a
100
great
bands
thing
down here for that.
Yep.
I'm not a huge fan of playing for free, but I try to get paid something when I play.
Mm-hmm. So you agreed to play at least a song, maybe two for me.
Sure.
Maybe original composition, so I don't have to worry about licensing stuff.
Yeah, we could do that.
Great. Well, I appreciate all this talk, and we'll just adjust the mics and be right back.
Yeah. Okay, what I'm playing right now is a hubcap resonator guitar that I built through a piezo crystal pickup that I built through a suitcase amplifier that I built. Got a sunburned nose, sand in my shoes. Living in San Diego really got me them blues. I got a sunburned nose, I got sand in my shoes. Oh, living in San Diego really got me these blues. Oh, the sun is out, we got a light breeze. One more day of paradise gonna bring me to my knees. I got a sunburned nose, sand in my shoes. Oh, one more day in paradise gonna bring me to my knees. I got them San Diego River Delta blues. Life is so hard in Southern Cal, I'm telling you. Oh, San Diego River Delta blues. Life is hard in Southern Cal, I'm telling you. One thing I know is sure, I've been captured by her allure. She mesmerized, she hypnotized with them gorgeous eyes. You know, when we first met, she cast an invisible net. She mesmerized, she hypnotized with them gorgeous eyes. One thing I know is sure, I've been captured by her allure. She mesmerized, she hypnotized with them gorgeous eyes. You know, when we first met, she cast an invisible net. She mesmerized, she hypnotized with them gorgeous eyes.
So there it is, my interview with Keith Kifer, the Blues Wizard. Go to bisbeelive.com and you can find some links to what he's been up to. I'll include a link to his shop here as well in Bisbee. And I'll put up a video. Okay, I'm going to go now and attend to this scorpion sting. Thanks for listening. It's Mike, your host of Get the Word, an etymology podcast for word nerds. We'll talk about the history and origin of words in English. If you're coming over from the English sessions, well, then I'll give you an even bigger welcome, loyal listener. The English Sessions is the podcast I've been doing for a while now for English learners, and is where Get the Word was first conceived. I decided to make Get the Word its own podcast since I started to realize I was making content more for native speakers with these etymology episodes, which seemed to warrant its own feed. Don't worry, though. For those of you who are English learners, there will still be transcripts of the episodes on the website. Look for details in the show notes. Get the Word, an etymology podcast for word nerds. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts.